Hey, friends, welcome back to the Castro Valley News live show. We are here in episode 37, which is amazing. That's crazy that we've done so many of these. Um, for folks who are not familiar with the live show that we do every Tuesday at 7 p.m., we are doing kind of an old school type of kind of like an old school radio call-in talk show. It's audio only, no video, because if you saw me, it it would be icky. There's no reason for you guys to see me. There's no reason. Yeah, it wouldn't be appealing at this point. It would just distract from the conversation. But what we do is we talk about issues of the day, things that are on our mind, things that are happening in the community. And every so often, you might hear me snap my fingers because my dog is on the couch licking his foot into oblivion. He's got a nervous habit where he's just licking his foot nonstop. But I love the little guy. Let's do a roll call. Who's out there? Kim is asking, when is the bowling alley going to open? I don't have an answer. My assumption is it will open when the shelter in place is when our regulation. When we emerge from the purple category of the shelter in place. When that will happen, I do not know. I hope it happens soon. Bitu is mentioning that their car was stolen from your driveway and other crimes. If you haven't already, send me the information about your car being stolen and we will share it on the page. So I was just snapping my finger and my dog licking his paw over there. Sorry to hear about your car being stolen. Like I said, if you have handy your license plate information, the year and make of your car, please send it in. If you have a photo of your car, send that in as well. And also day and time that your car was stolen in Castro Valley, and we'll definitely share that on the page for people to see and give the alert to folks. Karen is saying hi, Karen. Kathy is here. Hi, Kathy. Bob Wiseman is here. How you doing, sir? Don from One Bad Apple is around. And I guess I should probably do a silly voice for Don. Should it be Sean Connery or... Okay, Bitu is mentioning that they shared it on Nextdoor and will send in the information. Is Chefs in the Village ever going to open? Is Chefs the restaurant that is attached to the bowling alley? Because I'm assuming that they're probably not going to be able to open until the bowling alley opens. And we're kind of stuck in this holding pattern with... Sorry, if I seem like I'm stuck in slow motion, I'm just reading some of the reading the comments. Something about a home invasion. I didn't hear anything about that, but it would be great if you could inbox me the information on that in regards to the day and the time. I didn't hear anything about that, so I'll try to get some information on that. Nicole is saying go with Sean Connery, so we'll go with Sean Connery tonight to introduce. Sorry, as I clear my throat. Introduce Don Shelby at One Bad Apple Records. Uh, that was a good one. Sometimes Sean Connery turns sideways. Don is an awesome dude. We are really fortunate to have a record store here right in our downtown area. Don, I've known Don for a bunch of years. Uh, yeah, if you're into vinyl or fun stuff, One Bad Apple Records, right across the street from Pete's Hardware on the Boulevard. Let me. I'm gonna scroll here through the comments and see what people are mentioning. Yeah, I know a lot of people like the Nextdoor app thing. I don't follow it. It kind of seems like I don't want to discount that it's helpful. So yeah, we have kind of a different and broader reach than Nextdoor, but definitely send me your information. I'm sorry that your car was stolen here. Um, Bob is mentioning get Spencer Christian on as Rodney Dangerfield, and I could be Ron Owens. Spencer was awesome. That was cool that he was on page one of our magazine. Karen is mentioning, okay, well, I don't know about the neighborhood watch thing. But like I said, I'll follow up. And again, if you see things that are happening, something like you know, a crime or something, please message it in so I can contact my the folks that I know at the sheriff's office to get the information out there. Um, that still kind of doesn't help me with a day and a time of when it was. So, Karen, if you could inbox me the information, and I'll like I said, I'll reach out to my contact with the sheriff's office and get the uh, the lowdown on what happened. Uh, I wanted to touch base again, and I know I mentioned this last show. Wait a minute, let me go back and see if I missed anyone who's on the show to add to the roll call. If you're listening, comment in the thread so that I can add you to the roll call here. I didn't say hello to Kim, but I'm saying hello officially to Kim now. And I know Kim is waiting for the bowling alley to open, and I didn't see a response in regards to Chefs in the Village, and I think that is the restaurant that is. I think it's a Thai. I think it's Thai that is in the bowling alley. Laura, hi. How are you? Welcome to the show. Bob is mentioning. Oh, I'm gonna say your name wrong, and I apologize. Micaiah. Micaiah is here. Hello, Micaiah. If I said that wrong, please correct me and accept my apology. Bob is mentioning that Nextdoor is largely uncensored and can get nasty in times. That is true. Annette Crane, how you doing? I know Annette is follows the show weekly, I believe. And Dennis, greetings. How are you doing? Elaine, recap what happened for people who are joining. Basically, I'm just doing the roll call now. Nothing of substance has happened. I snapped my fingers at my dog for licking his feet a couple times. Micaiah, I'm glad I got it pronounced correctly. That's awesome. Welcome to the show. And Kimberly is confirming my thought that it's the Thai restaurant in the bowling alley. And yes, Chef's Express is Chinese. And I hope I didn't miss anyone in the roll call. And if I did, text me 510-331-9112. You can go ahead and text that with your comments, your questions, your concerns, confessions, anything that you have on your mind that is in regards to Castro Valley or life in general. I wanted to touch on something that we discussed during the last show, which was, hi Janice, how are you? Glad you're joining into the show. Good to have you. The Christmas card collection drive that we did, and you guys you can have one of those little hand tickers for every time I say amazing. Um, we ended up getting another 100 cards sent in to us. These were the Christmas cards that we delivered to senior homes, nursing homes, and the total is altogether 1,000. Wait, we have a call, and I think I know who this is. I'll get back to the card thing. This is Castro Valley News.
Hi, Robert. It's Linda.
Hey, Linda. This is Linda from Pete's Hardware. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are things with everyone?
Doing great. As good as can be expected.
Yeah.
So if memory serves, you wanted to talk about.
Well, I thought I would talk about, bring up the fact, one of the frustrations we're seeing in retail, and this is every retail store that I talk to, is that the customers are frustrated because they can't find what, or there just doesn't seem to be enough of it to go around. And so I would maybe talk about the whole how it's working and where it's falling apart, and so why it's making it hard to find products that everybody is so used to seeing on shelves.
Great. What is your experience? What's happening at Pete's Hardware?
Well, our experience is, we say it's kind of like Christmas. With every truckload we get, we aren't quite sure what we're getting. We don't know what is coming in. We don't know what is missing out of our order when the truck, pulls up. And we don't know the quantities necessarily of what we're going to be getting, what we might get a substitution of. So we're now seeing some brands, as consumers are, that we've never heard of, because maybe they're from their brands that might be more familiar back east or somewhere in the Midwest as compared to what we're used to seeing. You can walk down even in the grocery store and see these brands of toilet paper that
Right.
like, oh, never seen this one.
I noticed that on the with hand sanitizers or surface wipes at Safeway. Exactly what you were mentioning, just brands that I've never seen before.
Yeah. And so those are substitutes. I mean, we spend a lot of time, Jeff in particular, spends a lot of time trying to find new vendors to fill in for products that we aren't able to get. And what's creating all this shortage is a lot of factors. I've been saying all along, I really think the consumer just believes that stuff magically appears on the shelf. And I did speak to Rotary on a Zoom meeting, and afterwards I received a lot of comments that nobody really understood how interconnected everything was and what it takes to get product into store. So I thought, well, since Rotary found it interesting, I thought maybe your listeners might
Please share.
Find it a little interesting.
I find it fascinating. Let's hear the whole process.
Let's go through it. Okay. Well, first of all, right now, what's happening is that product, it's what we call the supply chain. And the consumer's demand of product is creating a shortage, well, or a higher demand than what manufacturers can currently meet. So what has happened with this whole coronavirus, as well as, you know, some of the businesses have issues anyways. They were having issues, labor shortage, and the high cost of labor, especially here in California, has been creating issues in different businesses, making it hard for them to stay healthy financially. So what happens now is that some raw materials were getting harder to find, harder to process, because the people who do that and the manufacturers are also limited in the number of employees they might have available because of the impact of COVID. So some of these manufacturers are having challenges just in ramping up production
to meet the
as
need.
they face the obstacles of some of the plants shutting down, labor shortage, social distancing, and redesigning their factories. So that's just where it's starting at, of trying to get the product built. And then it has to get shipped out of manufacturing, and it goes maybe into a warehouse, so then it can get distributed. So now there's just been record numbers of shipments that are going from manufacturers that are having to be received by the distributors. But there's a shortage on truckers. Shipping itself is becoming hard, and that's why earlier, when did it start? Like in November, people were being told, "Oh, get your packages out early. Get your packages out early. There's going to be shipping delays." Well, that's what we've been living with as retailers since this whole COVID thing has started, because again, limited number of truckers. Those people get sick, or those people are choosing not to work because they are not wanting to risk exposure. And that the product has to get into warehouses or into the distribution centers. And then when it gets into a distribution center or to the warehouse to be to be unloaded, placed in the right spots, and then to be pulled and to be put on trucks to go out to the different stores, again, they're having a problem with the shortage of labor. They are having a shortage on even some of the goods, because they're held up at either in distribution in the centers, the manufacturing, the warehouses. They could even be delayed at the ports.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah, and I have a friend who works in the shipping down with one of the main shipping lines. And so I talked to her and said, what's going on? Because we can see a lot of product that isn't coming in. And she was telling me that there's a lack of equipment. Like, a lack of equipment.
Wow.
What equipment is missing? Well, it's the chassis that the containers sit on to transport the containers. And there are certain chains, Walmart being one of them, that they have containers, especially in Southern California, and you'll see these containers parked along roads, up on hills. Some big paved areas seem to have been carved out, because I do remember seeing this. So it's not anything new, it's just more so. And they're sitting there, and they're sitting on the chassis because they still have to be unloaded.
Right.
And eventually you run out of chassis, especially if they aren't being manufactured. So, the dock workers are there doing their job, but they're limited in what they can get done in the day. A lot of our products that are coming from China are delayed because there's no place to bring it into. They have lots of containers ready to ship out, but the means to get them shipped and into place, there's a struggle there. I heard in India that they don't even have any containers.
Wow.
So that may have recently changed, but you think of all the goods that come from India into our country, and they're just all sitting there, can't even get into the cargo containers.
So when you're looking for something that you're short on, and I wouldn't know what your most popular items would be, what do you do when you're trying to make an order for those items and you just can't get them? Do you just go online, or do some of your contacts have other contacts?
Well, we deal with buyers, whether it's ACE or whether it's Oracle, and we have some other vendors that we buy from. So they're pulling from wherever they can to get the quantities we need. But even those companies, any business that, whether it be Walmart or Targets or the Ace Hardware stores or True Value, not True Values because they're gone, but the Outdoor Supplies, whatever it might be, is the manufacturers have also given us allocations.
Oh, wow.
And so the vendors, like for us, ACE and Oracle, get allocations from the manufacturers. And then they have to allocate it to all the stores that are trying to pull from their warehouses. So the patio heaters that were a big thing, and we had them on our November ad, which was done, like 4 months in advance. Well, all of a sudden, there were no patio heaters to be had because the demand for them at the warehouse, for restaurants, for the outdoor dining,
right?
They just bought them all.
So you had so there were sales with no product in hand, or limited product in hand.
Yeah, we were able to get a few, and there were the customers that came in early. They were able to get them, and others who were coming in 2 days before Thanksgiving wanting it, it's like, sorry.
Yeah.
When you end up only getting 5, because that's what your allocation ended up being, there wasn't much we could do about it.
How many of those would you have normally gotten?
In a season,
or for a special sale like that.
Oh, for a special sale, I bet Jeff would probably have ordered about 60 because we
Wow.
typically would go through and be able to. We get 3 orders a week between all our vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And so ordering from each one, we'd have a good amount.
Okay. Wow.
But they didn't even have them. You know, they couldn't get them. They weren't able to be made fast enough.
Wow.
And I think that, you know, what else is going on? There's so many thoughts going through my mind right now.
Oh, take your time. Take your time. It's okay.
With it all, it's that everybody who is doing business, so whether it's the manufacturers or warehouses or distribution centers, they're all having to deal with the obstacles COVID has presented, the regulations that have now had to go into place because of CDC or their own state or county health regulations. So it could be something like a place, a business where they kind of park off-site and they normally bus the employees in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the number of employees that used to fit on one bus, it now takes 2 buses to get them there and several trips to do that.
Yeah. It just
so
makes
I know
everything...
that's happening at the ports.
Right.
As well as, I'm sure, other things of just that cause delays because of social distancing. And then you have a lack of labor force.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we see that ourselves. And anywhere you go, you can see signs that are saying now hiring, now hiring. But people aren't necessarily applying because at some point they
may just want to
still
stay
on unemployment.
Yeah, or they may just want to stay home and be safe, or whatever situation there may be like that. Yeah.
Yeah, whether they're on unemployment or they're still receiving COVID pay from their a place of employment, whatever is going on, it's just hard to keep some of these doors open, and especially the manufacturers when they've had to close down. Weber had to close down for 3 months. Traeger closed down for 3 months.
Wow.
Different companies, that 3M that does the furnace filters, they were doing the mask and all that. They contacted me back in August and said, buy all the furnace filters you need because they will not be available later on, like during the season when you would need them.
Mm-hmm.
So we bought what we could, and then we have since sold out, but they were only able to manufacture so many because of material that was available for them to do so. There was the shortage. Some of it was being used for the making of masks, and then they have their own requirements within the manufacturing plant that they had to deal with.
Wow.
You know, one of the canning jars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, canning became a big thing this year because people were staying home. And we seem to have been one of the last stores that was able to get canning jars. We scrambled a lot and we ordered a lot. and we did get a huge amount, but people were coming in wanting to can their tomatoes or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And they didn't realize that this year they were also up against the cannabis, which harvested right before the vegetables and fruits would be getting canned.
Okay. Wow.
So people were coming in buying the big jars, all that, and when it came time for canning
Season.
of the vegetables and fruits, it started getting very limited as to what
Wow.
stores had available for people to buy. So we just found that, these shortages, a lot of it was due to something like that was due to the demand.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Which happened with toilet paper as well.
I know. It's like
Actually, it happened twice because it happened at the first onset of the shelter in place, and then not too long ago. However, I did look at Safeway, and there's a lot of toilet tissue, but like you said, there are some off brands.
yeah.
Safeway has, and I hate to keep giving them advertising, but they had brands that other stores would have. So like you had mentioned, it seems like, the stores are just going to get what they can to serve people. And it's amazing how this pandemic has just touched and affected every single part of life, across the board, everything.
Everything, yeah. There's, the canning. Is it the canning? I think it is. Ball.
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about this. The plants are in Mexico. Plants are in Canada. They had huge outbreaks. They were having to shut down their manufacturing plants. So everybody is impacted.
Yeah.
And as soon as one link in this chain is weakened, it starts making its way.
It affects everything. It affects everything.
Mm-hmm. And so it's just one of those things that, people, we just have to be patient.
Yeah.
And you take what there is and kind of be grateful that you were able to find something. Be grateful you were able to find your toilet paper or your paper towels.
Right.
And not wait necessarily for that brand, because who knows if you're going to find it. You might.
Yeah.
Because stores are getting them in at different times. And it depends upon where your order is on the list with your distribution center, or, if you're doing drop ships with the manufacturer. And so it's been quite sad to see how many businesses are affected by this. Today I was reading about how many restaurants that we're all very familiar with,
mm-hmm.
chains, that are closing their doors permanently or closing a good number of their shops, their restaurants.
Yeah.
There's just been more than 100,000 small businesses that have permanently shut down.
I believe it was San Francisco said that they believe that 80% of their restaurants will close and not reopen.
Yeah.
That's staggering.
And so then this is going to end.
And it's not.
And people are going to want to go out, and their restaurant's no longer there.
Yeah. And we're not, I don't think we've even reached any place where we'll see the end of the ramifications of how this is going to affect all of our small businesses, all of our businesses, period.
Yeah. It's very sad because it's not possible for small businesses to survive with no income
Right.
coming in for weeks.
And still have to pay rent.
And then, okay, they got to reopen, but they could only reopen it at half capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult. I mean, for us, everything changed again. We now can only have 30 people in our store at any time.
Is 30 the 20%, or is that a different?
Yeah, we figured that would be about right.
Okay.
For us.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you might have to stand in line, especially if you come closer to closing. Come early and you go in. We've had to change our hours again because of a labor shortage,
mm-hmm.
as well as we still need our time to clean and try and stock before customers are coming in. I think from what I have seen, we are probably the most thorough in our cleaning.
Oh, I know you are.
Because after anybody has touched a basket, a shopping cart, it is put in a separate place and it is cleaned. And then it dries and then it goes back into the pile that's available. You don't get to just put it back into the pile with all the clean ones. We pull it out and we clean it.
Yeah. I know you guys take it serious. I know you do. Yeah.
Well, guess what? I got exposed from a customer. So I'm now isolated.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it was a customer. And, I mean, I don't have any symptoms or anything, but I had to go get tested, and now I just have to wait, and I won't get my results until Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, so Christmas is not happening.
Oh, no.
And it's just kind of hard because we deal with these people that they don't believe it, and then pretty soon it's like Sunday I found out. Oh, yeah, this person had COVID, tested positive.
And for people who aren't familiar, Pete's never closed. Pete's was one of those few businesses that never closed. I think, oddly enough, the supermarkets never closed. Donut shops never closed.
Yeah.
Which I don't know who wrote up the categories for that, but I understand grocery stores, definitely understand hardware stores, but you need to write a book, Linda, when this is over, and I know because we've talked kind of offline throughout the past, gosh, it's been 9 months now.
Yeah.
It's been wild. Some of the things that you guys have gone through, just wild. And I just wish that people, I know everyone wants to have their personal freedoms and everybody has their right to their beliefs, but let's just keep everyone else safe. And
yeah, because I mean, people need to, I think, make a real effort to support their small businesses.
Absolutely. Now more than ever. Now more than ever.
In those businesses, the restaurants and the little mom and pop shops and all that, they're kind of the lifeblood of our community. And we depend upon each other. So it doesn't trigger closures. I mean, we support each other and try and we keep each other open.
Right.
And as they start closing down and disappearing, then there goes your main street.
Right. And the
And
amazing
so
thing,
it could be devastating for communities. Small businesses are the ones that truly provide for the charities within our communities, for the places that are trying to offer help to the people that are always in need, or the schools for fundraising
mhm.
and all that.
Well, you guys do a barbecue for a little league or a Cub Scout uh, group almost every week. Well, you were.
Yes, yeah, we offered it up as a way for them to raise money so they could buy their uniforms, or they could
Right.
go travel, or whatever they needed to support their team.
Yeah.
And they haven't been able to do that for a long time. We're big supporters of Children's Miracle Network.
Yep.
And our money goes to Oakland's Children's Hospital. Well, Oakland's Children's Hospital doesn't have the support that it did from bigger places like the Marriotts and, because the hotel industry is kind of in the tank too.
Oh boy, is it ever. Yeah.
And so they have some of these bigger companies that would do fundraising for them, and right now they don't have it either.
Yeah.
And they don't turn anybody away there.
Another thing that people may not understand is Pete's subsidizes those fundraisers. You guys provide the hot dogs, the buns, the soda pop,
Yeah, we do.
the chips.
They get everything.
They get everything.
100%.
They get everything for free from Pete's Hardware, and they get to sell those items outside Pete's and get 100% of what comes in. And I don't think people know that.
Oh,
And
yeah, the people aren't providing
Yeah.
for themselves.
Yeah, it's from
They
Pete's.
get everything from us. We provide for them so they
That's awesome.
can do something.
That's awesome. I think, and especially because I know I said this already, but it seemed like every weekend that you guys had one. That's amazing. You guys,
Yeah,
that's awesome. And I know you
there
mentioned,
was.
yeah, it was. It will be again.
There was one little league group. I think they were all stars, and they had the opportunity to go to Disney World, and those kids and the parents worked on the weekends selling hot dogs, and they added baked goods, and they raised enough money so each of the children were able to get on a plane and go have this wonderful memory created at Disney World with their team.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so exciting to be able to make that dream come true for them. And,
that's awesome.
Weekend after weekend.
Yeah, it seemed like
provided everything they needed to make that happen.
That's amazing. And that kind of touches on what you mentioned about the small businesses doing those things. And I wanted to add that these small businesses, amazingly in Castro Valley, a lot of these businesses are owned by our neighbors, by people who live in the community here. So when you shop local, you're really helping your neighbor, and you're helping yourself, because you're allowing and helping these businesses to continue and thrive, and you're helping the community by keeping your neighbor in business. So it's a win-win.
Right. And this financial rescue that the government came out with, it was never really designed. It wasn't designed well enough to help the small businesses, especially the very small businesses. And it wasn't available for very long because so many
people applied.
Businesses applied. And then when you started reading the amounts that these different businesses got, these companies got, whether it was Stanford or whatever, and I guess eventually, when it made the paper, I kind of remember them talking about having to go back and get some of that money back from them if they were working on that. But that's what created it. So many of the small businesses, hey, you still had to pay your employees. If they took off because they were afraid they were going to get COVID, or if they did get it, anything COVID related, a business still had to pay them.
Yeah.
And
That's
but
a
you
huge
lost your
hit.
labor force.
Yeah, you have to pay your labor and you're closed on top of
Yeah.
rent, and it's I don't
It
know
it was
how.
it is very difficult, and these businesses that are closing, it's going to be very difficult to replace them. These manufacturers that are closing, some closing permanently. One company I think a lot of your listeners will recognize is Shop Vac. It's like the original wet dry vacuum
Yeah,
place, right?
they're closing.
They're gone.
Oh wow.
Permanently closed. They have been gone. You will not be able to buy another Shop Vac, that brand. There are other brands
Mm-hmm.
that are the wet dry vacs, but the Shop Vac brand name is no longer available. And some of our things we're going to see replaced with names that we might not recognize any longer. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting, I was talking to a friend, and they do a lot of repair on equipment. And they were telling me how hard it is to get parts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the reason for that is, again, in the manufacturing. But what some of these factories are doing is that they're getting all the parts, and then they're assembling what they're needing to make.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's say you have, I don't know, let's just say a barbecue, and they get the different parts that you would normally maybe use to get replaced, whether it's the burners or whatever. But they go around and they get all these parts, and then they make the whole product, so they could send out a complete product.
Oh, okay.
And then something breaks, and a customer comes in and they need this part. Well, that part's no longer available because it was used to make the whole product.
Wow.
So this whole manufacturing is really playing into creating a shortage also on what's going on in today's consumers' world.
Yeah, it's touching everything. It's affecting everything. Can't say enough for people to shop local and shop small, and
yeah, and get used to different brands.
Right.
You know, I mean, it'll be the same thing. Furnace filters, like I said, 3M can't get them. We might start getting them in January if they've ramped up enough, and we don't know what our allocation will be. But anytime somebody's come in and I've seen them with a furnace filter, I've said, and it's been a different brand, I said, you really should buy a second one to get you through winter.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if we're going to be having any more.
Wow.
And sandpaper is another thing. There's a huge shortage on sandpaper. Crazy the things that there are shortages on. I mean, you think about sandpaper. Really? Sandpaper?
Right. Yeah.
Who would think that? But people have been home.
Right.
They aren't going out and going to the movies and going out to dinners and, on vacations. So now they have some money. Some people do. They have this extra money, and they're investing it into their home. They're taking on some of their own home repairs, or even contractors are coming in, and they are overwhelmed with jobs because people are wanting to do little remodels, fix up this,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's into fixing things up.
Yeah.
So there's an extraordinary demand by our consumers for items that help them complete projects.
Yeah. Because
and it's great that people are now actually trying out to repair things on their own. They get on YouTube and they
it's all there.
try and figure out how to do it.
Just about anything that you need to do is on YouTube. You can find out how to do it there. Some lessons may not be as valuable as others, but it's all on there.
Yeah, you can try and figure it out and hope for the best, and just always be careful. But we have been seeing a lot of new faces, a lot of people coming in and asking about how you can fix your toilet and how they can do this project or what they should use to do the project. And so, they are really kind of having a vested interest in maintaining their home and their yards, and it's been great. Gives everybody a sense of accomplishment.
Absolutely. I had to do some toilet repair today myself, so
that happened.
Yep. It required some water cleanup as well, but thank goodness I knew what I was doing.
Yes.
But no, that
makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference, and you guys definitely have people who know their stuff. I know that. You've got Norm, so you've got a guru.
Norm goes out. He saves a lot of people.
He's awesome.
He's always booked out weeks in advance, and so many people. I think what everybody now needs to really understand and put into effect is that you can't wait till the last minute to go out and buy something or put off repairing something.
It's not like it used to be. It may not be there when you go back.
That's right. It's not going to be there.
Which we may not want to say that, because that might fuel some of the fire of that panic buying.
Well, it's just that, we had people coming in 2 days before Thanksgiving wanting to buy patio heaters, and they'd been also everywhere else, and nobody had them. So when you know you're going to need something, then you should do it.
Yeah.
If you've had a leaky pipe for a month, don't wait and suddenly say, I need Norm to come out and fix it today, because Norm's not going to come out and fix it that day, because there's been a whole bunch of people that have called and Norm is booked out for weeks ahead.
Yeah. And for people who don't know,
that type of thing.
Norm is the rent-a-husband at Pete's Hardware, and he's extremely highly recommended and an awesome guy as well.
He's got quite a following.
Deservedly so.
And so, even with that, we had to close down for 4 months this year.
The Rent-A-Husband closed down?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's
we had
right.
to close down because he couldn't go into anybody's home.
Right.
Even now we'll go there, but we do ask people, just please stay away and let him do his thing, that type of stuff.
Wow. Well,
I'm
Linda,
so
thank you so much for calling in and sharing that information. I think the whole number of the outdoor heating items that you got 5 and you normally order 60, I think that
hmm
that illustrates the whole situation perfectly. So,
Yeah, well, or just all the furnace filters, and now we get zero.
right. Yeah.
Whatever it is, canning jars, and we
Sandpaper.
didn't get
Sandpaper
any. And
of all things. Sandpaper. Wow.
yeah, just everything. The one thing I do ask, and this is for going into any store, is for the people to practice, just being kind,
Yeah.
use good manners, um, and patience. I had the other day, in fact, Robert, I know I was telling you the story because I was so upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, this, I had one customer walk out, but he stopped at the door to pick up the Castro Valley News magazine, and he stood there for a bit as he was trying to get it. And then I had 2 other customers that were trying to walk out the door. So I got 3 in the doorway. And here comes this man. He was grabbing a cart and he was ready to come walking in. And I'm standing, like 5, 6 feet back from the door. And I held up my hand and asked him, can you wait a minute? Move over a little bit. And the 3 people walked out through the door. They were already there. And he came in and he was so angry. And he said, how sick he was of just having to wait. And I said, at our store. And I said, there were 3 people going out. I was just trying to make it that, everybody could get in and out safely. And he just yelled at me. And then when he left, he got what he needed. And he leaves and he yells at me for leaving. And he said, I've just about had it with this store. I'm thinking this is the last time I'll come shopping. I can go into Lowe's and Home Depot. And he said Orchard Supply, which doesn't exist any longer.
Yeah.
And he could go in there without any problem. Well, yeah. How wide are their entries?
Right.
I mean, 10 people could walk through the entry at Home Depot, but just him being asked to show some good manners was just too much for him to even deal with.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that have people on edge, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, then it just makes it difficult for us and every business. And then our labor force is like, we're tired of dealing with these people. We are not going to come into work. And then you're short people.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and then customers come in and there's no one to help them. And, it's just this whole spiral downward. So
Yeah.
patience and kindness goes a long, long ways nowadays.
Across the board with everything.
With everything and every place. Every place.
Yes, I agree. Linda, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you shedding light on what's happening with how things are getting to our stores.
Yeah, and it's probably going to take a while for all this to catch up, and so just keep being patient.
Be patient and kind. 2
Yes.
good words. Thank you again, Linda. Have a wonderful
Thank
evening.
you.
Appreciate your time.
Bye.
Take care and be well. Keep me posted.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye. So with that said, we are at about an hour. Thank you so much, Linda at Pete's Hardware, for giving us some firsthand information about the difficulties that retail stores are going through with the pandemic. I did have some other things on the list, some other stuff that I wanted to share with you. Let me hit one. with the Christmas card drive that we did for the seniors and the nursing homes. We got another 100 cards in, so the total is 1,283 total, and also 50 handmade ornaments that also went out. The additional 100 that we just received are going to be added to the 248 that are going to Eden Hospital. So tomorrow I will deliver another 100 cards to Eden Hospital, to our first responders who are heroes at Eden Hospital, in appreciation for all that they're doing. And with that said, Bob, Bob said when things get weird, the weird play hockey. Okay. It's actually when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. Thank you guys. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Karen. It's turning into a children's show. Thank you, everyone. And like Linda said, a little bit of patience, a little bit of kindness. We will see you here 7 p.m. next Tuesday. Stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great week. Oh, and gosh, have a great Christmas, because next Tuesday will be after Christmas. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful Christmas. Stay safe. I hope you get to at least see and speak to your loved ones. That's the end. Take care, guys. Have a great holiday.